Peace, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Sessions with Rich. If you haven't noticed by the first 2 seconds, I'm in a different location. My nephew is here, and I don't want to have a crying baby coming through. So we're in the sunroom right now, okay? But welcome back, guys, to another episode of Sunday Sessions with Rich podcast, man. A weekly podcast where we talk everything spirituality, manifestation, and self-growth. Whoa, stop what you're doing and hit that subscribe button, guys. Like, comment. I want to hear from you. Okay. Previous episodes can be found on Apple and Spotify as well. Now, this guest, this co-host, I'm super pleased to have her on. She is an emotional intelligence life wellness coach who specializes in health, fitness, leadership trainer, Reiki master. She is also the host of I Am My Best podcast. Her links will be below. Nyle, please. Oh, I'm so super stoked. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. What an intro. You're an angel.
Ah, bless you, bless you. For those who don't know, please let us know everything about you and the amazing work that you're doing.
Amazing work I'm doing. Well, I think it's kind of a co-creation of amazing work with whoever is willing to share space with me. So as you said, I mean, I'm a coach. I'm also an educator. So I spread the word teaching about emotional intelligence. I work with people on raising the bar for themselves on
Okay.
what it means to live in awareness and live emotionally intelligent lives that is in integrity and in people's sovereignty and then Reiki. It's sort of a side gig, and I not to make light of it because it's super important work. It's the energy work that I do with people generally once a week,
That is so awesome.
and it's a gift to be able to again share space with people
That
doing
is so
this work.
awesome. That is so. You have a woman of many talents. Where did you? So, where did the journey kind of start? How did the spiritual awakening even happen for you? Well, remembering. I don't like using the word awaken anymore. We're just remembering.
Oof. Where did it start? I mean, in my consciousness, probably in my childhood.
That's so awesome.
When I started to see kind of into people
Mm-hmm.
and into their hearts and not really understand, like, I would be with someone, I'd be like, did you just see that?
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I remember seeing a lightning bolt, like, come down to the ground
That's so
right
cool.
behind my brother. And
Oh, oh,
he didn't see it. There's just
yeah.
funny things that started happening early on in life where I thought,
That's cool.
okay, it's beyond our third dimension here.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it than that. But in
That's
terms of
cool.
really getting seriously into this,
Yeah.
I mean, I became a certified emotional intelligence coach in 2017.
Okay.
I realized when I was teaching like a few concepts
Mhm.
in a college class I was teaching back in 2014, I brought a few elements of EQ
Okay.
into the class, and I realized, no, there's so much to learn. I want to learn more, and so
Mhm.
it's been a journey ever since. And when I got onto Twitter, I started to notice the parallels between emotional intelligence
Okay.
and inner work and shadow work when I was starting to follow some of what people would call spiritual Twitter accounts.
Okay.
And it was full steam ahead in spring of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know what emotional intelligence is, what is that?
Ooh, okay. I mean, there's a lot of elements that
Mhm.
we use to measure it if you go through an assessment tool. Um, but one of my teachers, she said it perfectly. She said it's knowing when to bring it and knowing when to put it away.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. So it's about raising your self-awareness
Hmm.
and raising your awareness of what's going on around you with the
Hmm.
people and in your environment so that you know how to not only manage it but optimize your life
Yep.
and like I was saying earlier, raise the bar.
Yeah.
I believe in being, my best, and what that looks like can be different every day, but I do
Hmm.
believe that we're meant to evolve and grow as human beings.
Hmm.
So that's the whole point of it, is
Is
emotionally. Yeah.
would you say as well? Well, adding to that, it's kind of like holding yourself accountable too.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of elements that we literally measure.
Mhm.
We do measure awareness because what we're responsible for is what we put out in the world,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
and until we face ourselves and are aware of that, because that's a super important starting point piece to emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
we can't take responsibility for it. So becoming more emotionally intelligent is that journey of digging in and looking inward and putting the
Mhm.
mirror up and going, whoa, this is who I really am and this is what
Yep.
I'm bringing. And
Yep.
it's hard work when people
It
start to really dig
is.
in.
It's I was we were kind of talking before we started recording. He was asking me how I was doing. And the most simple political answer is saying I'm fine. And I was like, no, it's honest. I'm going through some healing times right now. But it ties into situations and people mirroring to you what you need work on, and actually holding yourself accountable and saying, damn, I have to do some more work. That's it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
It is. It is, but it's an important pill to swallow. But
Mhm.
also, it's important to take breaks,
Yes.
especially if you're really leaning into it. It's one of
Yeah.
those things that's just, whew, it's
It
exhausting. It can
is.
take up a lot of space energetically, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically. Like you can just
Mhm.
be completely flat out when you start facing stuff. So, yeah,
It
you got to keep going, keep breaking, keep going, keep breaking.
is part of the process. Now I know. So we're going through some crazy times right now. I'm sure
Yes.
how is you're from Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are things over
West
there
Coast.
right now?
Um, Well, it's pretty beautiful here right now. I'm in Vancouver, BC, West
Ooh.
Coast. It's quite lovely. And you're talking about like,
It's like like everything dealing with like this crazy shift in consciousness and people and everything.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you and I we both see a lot on our
Yeah.
social media. I'm a big observer of people and became enormously obsessed actually with the
Mhm.
human condition back in the mid 90s.
Whoa,
I had a client who taught me so much about the human potential movement,
that's cool.
and he was decades older than I, and it just opened up and blew my mind. Like it opened up my whole world to, wow, like the human condition is fascinating. So what's going on
Mhm.
now? I mean, Canada is a seemingly more peaceful place. People are a
Right.
little bit more relaxed. I see a lot of stuff where there's a lot of fighting and,
Yeah.
you know, verbally and maybe in some cases physically south of the border. But um, it's pretty peaceful. But, there's division. There's massive
Mhm.
division happening right now,
It's
around
crazy.
the different opinions and the different things, the pills that people are swallowing, and
Yep.
what um, what people are choosing to be guided by outside of themselves is making things a little bit chaotic at times.
It is. I've noticed,
Yeah.
so I mean it's enough division in the world right now as it is. I
Yeah.
feel like this is just stretching it even like further. It's kind of like with what if you choose to, pill or not, I guess the narrative is which brand is better. Who,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, um, and this person versus this person. I had tweeted about this earlier. Ooh, shoot. Sorry about that. I had tweeted about this earlier and I said, I don't, whether it's your free will to whatever choice you make, when it's being forced upon people, that's when the bigger issue is.
Well, it is, and I think the people who are kind of in charge of the movement
Hmm.
were referring to like taking vaccines for COVID.
Yes.
So there were studies done in previous years that
Hmm.
were coming up. I saw like I follow the science reporting on this, and a lot of people get confused about what the science is and who's responsible for reporting the science and whether or not
Hmm.
there's financial interests that are obviously conflict
Hmm.
in for vaccine companies promoting certain things, right?
Yeah.
And there were studies. The World Health Organization came forward, the European Commission came forward in years past and talked about vaccine confidence and the lack of in certain
Mm-hmm.
countries. And there was a growing lack of confidence for several reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
so they started to notice, okay, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where things took a shift. We're going to do something about it. And they wanted to promote vaccine confidence. They want people to believe that these vaccines are helping in
Mm-hmm.
terms of infectious diseases and communicable diseases. And
Mm-hmm.
and I get it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you look at basic evidence in a quick Google search, you can see that there's evidence supporting
Right.
it. So I
Yeah.
get it. There's definitely like a divide in the scientific community, and
Mm-hmm.
it's getting harder and harder to find information on the divide because there's a
Yeah.
prominent movement towards like, no, they need to be quiet because they don't
Mm-hmm.
know what they're talking about, even if they have been working in, the industry for decades and
Yeah.
have all kinds of letters behind their name. Um, and so I get how people are really confused and people are really angry because people are really drawn to do what they feel is best.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I don't know if everybody is really conscious in their decisions about what is best.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what we have to just raise, awareness about. Is like
Mm-hmm.
really make grounded decisions. Really do your homework. Really
Mm-hmm.
know that what you're doing is best for you. And
Mm-hmm. See, that's
and
that's that's what people don't talk enough about. Just like I said, do your research and whatever you choose to do, it's your free will. And it
mhm.
doesn't matter what you do, and we can still love each other and coexist. It's just the fear aspect, and it made me think earlier, just like the how many like the mental state that people are in right now,
Yeah.
and you don't take that into consideration. So sometimes I find myself just reflecting back on something I might have said and just putting myself in the person's perspective. Like, okay, you're fearful of this, and you have every right to be fearful of this. Your anxiety is probably going through the roof. And if you see a person who can kind of like endanger that even further, you're gonna react, and you have every right to. So it's just like, it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy.
Well, it is. And the gift of what I get to do is, I'm a practitioner of emotional intelligence. And so things that we measure are things like our emotional expressions
Yes.
and our impulse control, like our level of reactivity, our level of reality, like our
Mm-hmm.
assessment of reality. So that's like really getting into evidence-based stuff and looking at, is this true evidence or is this biased evidence? And
Yes.
pretty much all evidence is biased in one way or
Yeah.
another, right?
Yeah.
Level of optimism. And so the more we practice looking inward at where we're at with these and what influences these elements of our emotional intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
the more we get to decide, the more proactive we get to be. And I think to your point, like a lot of people are moving, like people's mental states have declined in for some
Yeah.
because also another thing about emotional intelligence is about decision making and whether or not you're making your decisions in a grounded space or if you're outsourcing your decisions by leaders in the community. And
Ah.
so there's government officials and news media
Yeah.
are pretty consistently giving messages
Mm-hmm.
that have been scary, right?
Yes.
Scary
Yes.
messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is for people who are not as practiced in the facets of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Reaction is normal, and
Yes.
that can cause mental decline. That can cause emotional story making, where you're putting your feelings and your thoughts together and you're making
Yeah.
things mean, and you're like, oh, that sounds like it makes sense to me. So I'm going to listen to more of that so that I
Yep.
do whatever they tell me to feel safe. And
Yep.
and it's okay, but it is what it is. It
Yeah.
is what it is. And I get how people get there.
Mm.
That said, there are plenty of people making very conscious decisions
Yes.
about getting vaccines,
Yes.
not getting vaccines. There are people who, I just saw a statement from, I think it was the drummer of Offspring, and I don't
Oh
know
yes, I saw that
yeah,
on Twitter. Yeah, yeah,
his
yeah.
statement was, I've had Guillain-Barré syndrome from like directly from previous vaccines. My
Yeah.
doctor advised me not to get it. So I understand, like,
Mm-hmm.
and and he's in a tricky spot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think there's equal anger
Yes.
on what seem like two different sides around this
Yeah.
topic. Like, there's
Yeah.
people who are so angry if you're getting a vaccine, and
Yeah.
there's people who are so angry if you're not getting a vaccine. And
Mm-hmm.
most people I know seem to be more on the angry if you're not getting a vaccine. That
Mm-hmm.
seems to be the community that I live in. But and we it's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But it's hard to be strong in the face of peer
Yeah.
pressure, systemic pressure,
That's what it
you
is,
know?
though. Peer pressure. It's literally, it's like
Yeah.
you're being bullied. I saw a
Oh.
picture on a train, and it's like a picture of like three emojis with mask on, and somebody didn't have a mask on. It's just like that peer pressure and bullying is kind of making you want to, well, not kind of, it's making you want to fold and conform because you don't want
Yeah.
to be seen as an outcast or outsider.
Well, yeah, and I know that, there's some that, there's many belief systems that lead people to believe with a mask you're protecting yourself, you're protecting others, and then there's other studies that show that that's not the case, and so it gets really, really
It
confusing. It's just
does.
like
It does.
nutrition, like there's
Yeah.
a gazillion different studies out there that say eat this way and not that way, and eat
Yep.
that way and not this way. But the bottom line is each of us have slightly different, sets of DNA,
Mm-hmm.
slightly different reactions to
Yep.
certain things that we put in our bodies.
Yep.
And, by the sounds of it, the majority of the population seem to respond positively to vaccines as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some that don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets questioned. People, scrutinize that. And I don't know, but I don't know. This is not
It's
my
tough.
domain. I don't I
Mhm.
don't want to influence anybody one way or the other. So
Exactly.
I refrain from posting about this stuff because this is
Mhm.
not my area of expertise.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep looking at the science and just
I
really
love
make
that.
grounded decisions for me. And I just would recommend that everybody do the same. You've
Just
got
do
to
your
make
research.
conscious decisions,
Yeah,
like,
make conscious
because
decisions.
it is about ourselves, but it is
Mhm.
about society. Like wearing a mask. If you're in a place where you're feeling like, oh my god, everybody is looking at me because I'm wearing a mask, or everybody's
Mhm.
looking at me because I'm not, that actually can cause problems for your parasympathetic nervous system. It can erode your ability to stay in a space of peace,
Mhm.
one way or the other. And so peer pressure is a real thing
It
that
is a real thing.
messes with your nervous system, and it becomes a stressor. And that alone, like, we have to make conscious decisions, not just for ourselves,
Mhm.
but for what's going on around us. If we want to
Yep.
be thoughtful and conscious and raise the vibration
Mhm.
for everyone.
Mhm.
And it's a tricky one. This one's a really tricky one. It's
It's
for
it's
for a lot of
so
people.
how so you how do you how are you consciously creating your reality? And I'll follow up with why I asked that question. Like
Hmm.
creating, manifesting your reality, just being a creative. How are you consciously going about that on your day to day, or just how did you even begin?
I like, how do I begin my day, and
Yeah,
how
this,
do I?
like this being as like
Yeah,
you know that you're the creator and you
yeah.
shapes your reality. How do you what practices do you use for someone who's a first time listener of the show? Hey, Rich and Nyle, I don't know how to do any of this. Well, what's some practices that you use?
Okay. Well, I have a morning routine. I
Okay.
mean, and I have a nighttime routine, and then I have stuff that I enact
Mhm.
through the day as needed. Um, I mean, first thing I do is, like, I take a really deep breath upon waking, and just kind of like allow my body to be honored, with
Mhm.
breath. And I do morning stretches, like, before I get out of bed. And I do some breathing exercises there, and I
That's
do some
so
grounding
important.
exercises. I
So
do what's
important.
called rooting and whirling, and they
Please explain that. I've never
uh,
heard of it.
okay. So each of them involves deep breath work.
Okay.
Uh, rooting is where you're grounding yourself, and you can do it lying, sitting, or standing, taking deep breaths, and just visualizing a white light coming from your root chakra. So that's like the
Okay.
sacrum
Okay.
down to the earth, from the bottom of your feet down to the earth. And with every breath, you're imagining that that white light is extending roots into the earth, so that you're becoming increasingly grounded in your visual, in your mind, in your inner eye, for 9 breaths. And then at the end, you're saying to yourself or out loud or whatever that, you're affirming that you're releasing any toxic energy, negative energy, any contaminated energy that doesn't belong to you, to be sent to the earth and transmuted into energy that can serve. And yeah, and a very similar practice with whirling, where it's I just send sort of that fire, that little kundalini from the sacral chakra. I send it up along my spine and out the crown, and then I envision my aura growing, basically, through 12 breaths, and kind of say the same affirmation at the end. And then I commit to affirmations and intentions for the day. Like, it's like, how am I going to do this day? How am I going to be in this day? And what kind of space how do I want to show up today? And so every day I decide, and it's about making a decision, because when you make what's a very close friend of mine called an inner decision, and that really hit me, was like
inner
an inner decision. Yeah.
Inner practitioner. I know you're watching this show. What's up, brother?
Yeah. So he taught me about inner decision, which is different than making a decision, maybe for some, because making an inner decision is like, it doesn't matter what comes up. I've made the inner decision that I'm going to show up like this today. And so, shit hits the fan. And this is what gets people confused, is when you're really grounded in who you are.
Yes. And
you've got adversity happening in your world around you, or whatever's going on, you're going through bad stuff, right? Hard stuff. If I'm going to show up a certain way, it's not inauthentic, but people might judge that as such, because they don't understand. They don't understand that actually I made a decision. I'm going to be rooted in peace. I'm going to be rooted in joy today. And although I'm not joyful about this, this is outside of myself. These parts of it are outside of my control. And my heart's good, and my vibration is being maintained by my intentions.
They can't, they can't wrap their heads around how is that possible, because you're, like you said, you're so focused on the external world, but you're not understanding that it's all within. So how you feel is the key focal point of everything. So if I'm projecting something, I'm only continuing that experience of it. So I'm doing my due diligence and my contribution within, the entire frame of everything, to make sure that I'm putting forth energy and attention that can make it a better place. That's so huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And another thing about that is that people can sometimes characterize that as, wow, they seem really naive or unaware.
Right.
And it's really funny that what they don't get is that, no, actually, I see way more than you think.
Yes.
But I'm choosing where I put my energy and my focus. And I see that. I can't do anything about that. I can do something about that. Not that, but that. And then you make your conscious, awareness gives you so much power.
It does.
Right?
You take that power back. One thing I've noticed though as well, and I was having this thought earlier. I feel like it's a default for people to kind of want someone else to be in control of their decisions as well, and kind of be their savior. It's kind of like the savior mentality. I feel like it's kind of going on, like a damsel in distress, or like a victim. And for example, I had pretty personal on the show. So I work in sales. So I was sick last week, so mine is still recalibrating and stuff. So you reach out to get like some support to kind of big you back up, kind of thing. And I caught myself in a thought, and I was complaining, and a voice came to me, and it said, we often, the default is for the person to kind of coddle that victim, not victim, I don't want to use that word, the complaining narrative that you said, instead of that person being the messenger, who is you, telling you, well, you got this too shall pass. And I was like, wow, that was my default for that moment, and I caught myself and redirected that energy. But it's just like you said, it's that awareness to
Mm.
be able to do so.
It's awareness, and it's also non-judgment, because like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can get all kinds of negative thoughts that come through,
Mm-hmm.
or thoughts that put us in like this complaining or victim or whatever mentality you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's about it's about deciding, okay, I'm having this thought,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm having this other thought, and it's starting to accumulate, and being aware of yourself, that I see it, I
Mm-hmm.
observe it, I'm not going to judge it, I'm going to let
Mm-hmm.
it be, and I'm going to let it go.
Yes,
And it's that takes practice. It
that
takes
does.
practice. All of this stuff does. All the inner work and emotional intelligence work do.
I've learned from inner practitioner, and I correct myself. Even when I was experiencing a detox last week, um, he would say, instead of identifying yourself with the emotion, I'm experiencing sadness, I am experiencing, whatever it is, or for me last week, I'm experiencing my body detoxing itself. Not identifying with it, just saying I'm experiencing this and then letting it go, detaching
Yeah.
completely.
That takes work, and
It
it takes
does.
time, right?
It does.
And I mean, and it also, like, all of this stuff requires some extra work of
Yes.
healing, right? Like, you can't just say, oh, well, this is so easy, we just practice it and it comes. It's like, it's
Not.
not
It's
easy. Like,
not.
I've been through trauma,
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
do not talk about, but yeah, I've had my share. And it wasn't like, I was absolutely down in the dumps for, on and off. Like, I have this inner optimism that's always alive
Always been
through it.
there.
And so no matter how crappy my life has been, how
Yep.
bad it got, I felt like, I know I'm going to be okay. Like, there were a
Yes.
few moments in my early 20s where I'm like, is this it? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like,
What?
how do
Yeah.
I get to tomorrow? But it was okay. I knew something. But it took so much healing for me to make this a
Mhm.
practice, and for me to see that it is available. But so many people don't see that it's available.
It's because I often this often pops up, and I'm noticing in episodes is people aren't aware. So I kind of ask myself, okay, how did you become aware? And then it's kind of okay. Well, I started reading books, or I made the intention to wanna do it differently. And I guess if you're watching this show, then I'm assuming you're on the same, frequency of vibration, or just wherever you are in your journey. Um, but when I was younger, my grandma used to always should get on me for always having an optimistic viewpoint. Why are you this happened? Why are you so, happy? I can control how I view the situation, and it
Hmm.
does me no justice looking at it from oh man, this happened. Well, my day is ruined. No, okay, well, so I guess something better is supposed to come from this. Okay.
Well, people might mistake what your optimism is for, like, toxic positivity, because I know that's like a term that gets
Mm-hmm.
thrown around a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And it gets mischaracterized sometimes, because, yeah, like, it's a thing. Like, people
Yep.
can be like, oh, forget about the negative feelings. And I'm not
Yeah.
a personal fan of
No,
calling emotions negative or positive.
don't
I
touch them.
feel like it's just a range. Like, it's just a spectrum of
Mm-hmm.
emotions that we have. Some seem more difficult because we're less practiced and we avoid them, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't like to see them as much.
Mm-hmm.
But some are just like, yeah, I gravitate to joy and love and
Yep.
all that stuff, and that's great. But bypassing is a real thing.
Yes.
And
It comes
maybe
back up. It's gonna come back around. You gotta face it.
you gotta face it.
You
You
gotta
gotta
face
face
it.
it. Yes, you do.
Because I've especially in the one of my purposes I'm learning is to help the divine masculine to like embrace their emotion and feel and release. Oftentimes, me, for example, I suppressed so much trauma for so long, and then it just exploded one time. And I just remember just in tears, just randomly and just flooding. And I was like, wow. But now I understand you have to feel, you have to go through whatever the hell you went through in life. I understand it's tough. I understand that, but it's your responsibility to make sure you help you become the best you possible. And that is going through that. I don't, not baggage, but going through those layers of lessons that's helping you become the better version of yourself, making peace with it, understanding it, and then using that as armor and fuel to keep being better and keep being awesome.
Yeah, yeah. You call that, so you're working on the divine masculine
Yes,
voice?
yes.
Hey, in that context, I
In
love
that
it.
context, I'm working on a book now. It's called The Book of Why, and the chapter is just
Mhm.
dedicated to the divine masculine.
Oh, that's beautiful and so needed.
Yes.
This is a gift. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I think it's so needed. It's
I appreciate that.
right. I
It
think there's
it is.
a lot of programming that's been done
Mm-hmm.
that has encouraged covertly or overtly the suppression of feeling feelings, of
Mm-hmm.
expressing feelings. And I mean, yeah, there is an art and a science to tapping into effectiveness of
Mm-hmm.
emotional expression.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of emotional intelligence, because like getting it all out when there's certain people around might not be the right thing to do
Mm-hmm.
for everyone involved, but getting it out is so important. It's not meant to be held on to,
It's
it's meant to move
not.
out.
I have a younger brother. He'll call or text, and he'll vent and say he's angry. And I said, well, just you have to feel it and release. And he's like, no, no. And I'm like, oh, but you're only hurting yourself. So then the next question is, well, how can I, for a person who is just like you, who is like, no, I'm not gonna feel it, how can I help guide you, or what resources, or just how can I be a mirror? And I guess it's just you have to be the example. You have to be
That's
the
numero
example.
uno. Numero uno. If you believe it, then embody it.
Exactly.
And that is the best teacher. I mean, you can ask them, like, what's to gain by holding it in? What's to
Ooh,
gain by letting it out? And then you decide,
ooh.
right?
What's the gain from holding it in? That's a tough question because it makes you think and makes you become aware.
Mhm. Right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
just that subtle question. That's powerful stuff. That's powerful stuff. Hmm.
Yeah.
So talk to us. So you have a podcast, I Am My Best podcast. What was the purpose behind it?
It started when things shut down
Okay.
last year. And it was kind of like how I generally do my tweets, which is like, it's just a download.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing
Just
this
channeling.
because there's something coming through that's saying it's time to do this. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, and I'm unfortunately or fortunately one of the least strategic people you'll probably ever interview. I'm not, and I'm working on that because I believe there's value to being strategic
Mhm.
in your online presence.
But you do an amazing
Um,
job. It's
Oh,
being you.
thank you.
It's being
I
you.
don't, it really isn't anything that I don't know what I'm doing, quite frankly. I'm one of the most unsavvy people online. Every once in a while, I'll learn one little thing and then I'll do it. And then I'll forget what that was. And then I'll never do it again, or it might come to me again and I'll do it. I'm so in the moment when it
Yeah.
comes to Twitter
Yeah.
and my podcast. And
Yeah.
so it really just started in, well, it's my soul's mission
I love that. I
to
love
help
that.
people, right?
Mhm.
I want to help people be their best. And it was actually, I was in Maui, and a little bit against my wishes, kind of was allowed myself to be convinced to go see a hypnotherapist.
Ooh.
And in that session, I came up with "I am my best," and I was like, I don't know what to do with that. And that was years
Mm.
ago. And then I realized, oh, yeah, because my best looks different than anyone else's best. And because
Ooh.
I am dedicated to help people be their best, whatever that looks like for them, every day a little better or whatever, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps forward, 1 step, whatever it is. I just want to be in that arena.
Mhm.
And so just like whenever stuff came to me, I would just grab a little microphone and record some stuff by myself, or reach out to, inner practitioner or mental
Mhm.
break or see our mirror, whoever, and just say, hey, let's talk. I really like value what you have to say. I have taken a big break from it.
Okay.
I've been intending to get back on it. And I liked injecting a few sort of different types of conversations
Mhm.
into it to round it out a bit. I had a stylist on who's amazing, and a photographer, and a gal who started up a company of facials, and it's been fun. It's been a fun road. I'm no
Okay.
professional. I don't have that fabulous gear that I see you have. It's basically this, but
No.
and maybe I'll get a little more savvy as I carry on. But I just really wanted to raise the conversation about the human condition, the
Mhm.
human potential, and helping people. Like, this is my goal, is to help people face themselves and step into your power. And you
Yes.
can't step into your power until you face yourself. So just conversations about what's going on inward and outside of ourselves.
That's
Yeah.
so powerful. I've noticed because even like um similar to you, just with podcast journey, just wanting to give back to the collective. It's only
Beautiful.
so much you can tweet. You only allowed a certain amount of characters. It's just like I don't feel like I'm being as effective. It's so much I want to say. And then, you come up with topics you want to talk about. And then you're like, you know what? Let's just have conversations. You follow people. It's a reason why you guys follow each other. Let's just chop it up. And then it just became this thing where now I want to own a media company. Now I want to have my own network to where I want to be source news. I want to be that news station to where it's positive and is reminding you of your divinity and how powerful you are and giving you the tools to be your best self. So I feel like
Amazing.
that's like my overall purpose with coming back here. And then however it manifests and manifests. But like I'm grateful for you even being on. Like you've been a
Oh,
catalyst in my journey personally. So this is a really cool episode for me. And thank you again for being on.
it's totally, feeling is totally mutual, and you're in it and you're dedicated, and I love your stuff. Like,
I
you've
appreciate
got,
that.
yeah, you're bringing beautiful words to the people, and beautiful energy to the people, and awareness, and thank you for what you do.
Bless you, bless you. Now, one thing that's kind of been a big thing. So, guys, if you're listening for the first time, or if you're listening for this, I think, shoot, what episode is this? Actually, I think this is episode 69. For the 69th episode, the
Ooh,
constant, yes, a lot. Every time I say it now, I had. Are you familiar with Jasmine? Jasmine on Twitter.
believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so.
she had Jasmine on, it was like 2, 3 episodes ago, and I was saying like, "Welcome back to episode 67." And when I said that, I was like, "I have 67 episodes. Like, when the hell did this happen? This is this is just why I started on my
Incredible.
phone with my AirPods and recording for Apple and Spotify, and then I was like, I gotta make a little visual of it. I was like, damn, 67 episodes. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
That
That's
is.
amazing.
But it's my catalog. I often have these thoughts like my kids and grandkids can see this one day. Like how
Yeah.
cool is it that you can, if you having your spiritual remembering at probably like 4 or 5, and you come across your dad or granddad's videos with all these amazing co-hosts who probably said something that helped your subconscious better than I could have. I'm just like, oh, this is it's beautiful. I'm just grateful for the entire experience.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's like you're thinking legacy, like you're thinking about future generations and
Mhm.
helping to expand the minds and the hearts of others, to come.
To come. Let me ask you this though as well. So for I've noticed too, it's a theme of reprogramming the subconscious mind, right? You have,
Mhm.
if you're going through trauma or if it's certain beliefs, so let's just say money. For example, I feel like money is a common theme. If you have grew up in poverty and lack, when you start to be around abundance, it's hard for you to accept that you're deserving. And you have to be aware and conscious to say, hey, no, I deserve this. It's my birthright to have this. I
Mhm.
I deserve to have this expensive steak. I'm deserving to have this amazing hotel. I am freaking deserving. But
Yes.
you have to get to that point.
You do. I mean, you have to work,
You have,
but not necessarily in the way that we've been. And I don't know about your generation, but mine was programmed. Well, you have to work long and you have to work hard, and it has to be
Mhm,
blood, sweat, and tears. And I mean, everybody has a different way
mhm,
of getting by. And, abundance is one thing, financial wealth is another, and a form of abundance.
mhm.
I believe in everybody having both.
Yep. Yep.
All of the above. Everybody is absolutely deserving, but there are programs that people have been led to believe that, oh, well, you're only whatever 30 years old, so you need to work for another 10 years before you dare get into a position that makes this amount of
But
money,
are you
or
happy? Are you happy?
yeah.
No. Because one thing I'm grateful for the lockdown and everything that happened and allowed the world to reset itself and to realize I was miserable at my job that doesn't that pays the bills, but it doesn't fulfill me soul wise. I'm not fulfilled. I
Ah,
need to have this reset and pause to rethink my life. What makes me happy? How do I see the next 10 years of my life panning out? But you wouldn't have had that reflection if you didn't have that down period.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes there's nowhere else to go but up with
There's nowhere else to
thanks to that down
go.
period, right?
That's so true. One thing I always ask this last question to my guests. What would your message be to humanity at this time?
Oh.
Take your time. It's a powerful question, I know. Take your
That's a
time.
great question. I mean, I really think it just ties in with my soul mission. I really hope that people choose to believe in themselves
Hmm.
and the power within. And I'm not talking about control. I'm talking about power, which to me is defined as um, that all the answers are in you. Yes, sometimes, but at the same time, I believe we're all one in a sense. I mean, energetically, we're all connected.
Yes, we
And
are.
so sometimes we do need to ask for support and help and
Hmm.
guidance
And
from
that's okay.
others. But don't do it because anybody else tells you. Do it when you're ready, when you're good and ready, and when your inner wisdom, your body says, I need this. I need help from somebody because I need to learn about this. I need to know who. And then energy resonance, right? Like
Hmm.
you come together with the people that you have lessons to learn from.
But that's so powerful when you look at people as not lessons in what they are meant to show you. You release a lot of that I guess judgment and critique of how things went. Yeah, this person or experience was this, but what was the lesson behind it and what was it meant to show you?
Hmm.
Everyone. Oh no,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, no, I agree. I think that, and these are the kinds of things to continue going in the direction of, and to let go of the things along the way that no longer serve. Like,
It no longer serves you.
right? Just keep growing, keep
Ooh.
expanding, keep your heart and your mind open, keep your
Mhm.
boundaries strong,
Yep.
understand them, and it's an evolution as well. The boundaries thing,
Mhm.
that changes over
That
time and with
changes, yeah.
relationships. And gosh, there's like there's like probably a 10 bullet point answer to your question. But I mean, really, like, bottom line, please believe in yourself and
Yeah,
please believe in the power within and step into it.
step into it for sure.
Yeah.
What's helped me kind of navigate and understand is kind of keep it like a child heart viewpoint of the world. Just looking at people as just actors in your play. That
Mhm.
person loved you so much on a soul level that they agreed to play that role for you to expand, whether it's heartbreak, disappointment, whatever. That person, you and that person love each other that deeply that you guys played that role. How powerful is that?
Yeah.
How powerful when you can look at it from that perspective. It's
Yeah.
like damn,
And that includes everybody on the planet, doesn't it?
everybody on the planet. Everybody. Guys, Nyle, this is a super fun episode. I'm super grateful to have you on.
Me too. I'm so honored. Thank you. And humbled. You're awesome. And your energy is just beautiful. Your show is outstanding. And I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Guys, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like, comment. I want to hear from you guys. Previous episodes will be on Apple and Spotify as well. Now, you are welcome on any time. And this episode was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.